All right, hello, Sean Brady. I'm back with Sean White, and we're just discussing philosophies.
Yes, the approach to health
and medicine and wellness, right? So you are a very scientific-based dude.
Yeah,
because I asked you about the holistic thing earlier, and I know that you're a massage therapist, but you have a very different approach, very different from a lot of. Well, I'll let you say it in your own words, but you don't believe in chiropractic. You don't believe in Reiki. What was it? The chakras.
Right. I don't believe
in energy healing.
I don't believe in acupuncture.
Things along those lines.
Like even so, in the massage industry, there's something called myofascial release.
Yes,
based on nothing. Fascia, they believe that you can stretch fascia. It doesn't stretch.
Right.
Like the point that it does stretch, when it does, it's before it breaks, and then you're in serious trouble.
Right.
If you in order to understand what fascia is, once you know what it is, you realize that myofascial release is imaginary. So your fascia is made as these. Have you heard of myofascial release before?
Yeah, and I know I've had people work on me with those distinctions before, and now, so here's where my argument is. It's not really an argument, but my experience is that even if that wasn't the thing, maybe it's my mind over matter that did cure my own body because I don't have the same tension like I used to. So something did get released, and I don't know if it's...
It's not okay, so now I've had a conversation with one of my clients before about
yes.
this. Whenever I realized that most of my massage education was garbage and I had to reteach myself, it was an eye-opener, and it felt great in that it was like, oh my God, everything I know is false. This is so cool.
Okay.
Right? Because if you can't question the knowledge that you have,
yes,
your knowledge is worthless.
Great.
So, and I said about this some time ago, I said, okay, I've learned all this stuff.
Right.
I spend 4 or 5 hours a day studying every day or researching. I have this vault of knowledge, but how valuable is this knowledge?
Yeah.
And I set out to disprove everything I know.
Yeah.
And along the way, I've disproved of about 80% of what I learned in massage school. And also, learning about the continuing education credits, a lot of them are garbage.
Sure.
They are not based in scientific-based evidence. So we'll look at the myofascial release.
Yeah.
Feels amazing, right?
Sure.
It is incredible.
Absolutely.
You walk away, it feels great. But we're going to talk about the science underneath of it. Right. The science doesn't match. It may feel great afterwards. That's good.
Yes.
Now, did it heal you? I don't know. Okay? And here's the reason why I use that mumbling reaction.
Okay.
What if your body just healed?
Right.
And it just felt good, and you felt good doing the massages, but your body was going to heal itself anyways.
So how would you answer this statement then? What if it's because your body felt good, it was able to heal faster?
What I've read about healing is your body's going to heal anyways. If you're feeling better, you may have a marginally increased ability to fight off pathogens. Maybe in that respect. But your body, the mechanisms that heal your body is not related to massage. Not directly.
Right.
If, let's focus back on the myofascial release. And
sure.
We can dabble on all sorts of different modalities.
Yeah.
The myofascial release, if we're operating on the science of what it teaches, it doesn't match up.
Right.
So you have what we call your fascias, and the fascias wrap around different organ structures.
Correct.
Like muscles. They
right.
wrap around there.
Yep.
Now, it requires about 2,000 pounds of pressure.
Correct.
To deform that fascia.
Right.
Look at your hands.
Right.
Think about the strength that you have. Think about, even if I threw my elbow into your back,
yes.
I would need my car to push into my arm in order to have the pressure to manipulate the fascia in your body.
Okay, good point.
How would that feel?
Right.
So if it doesn't match up with what it's saying it's deforming, then the science behind it is not factual. And so it's doing something. I'm not denying that. It's doing something. But if you come to me and say, Sean White, what is this doing? I don't know. Does it feel good? Yeah. Is it hurting you? No? Okay, then we're fine.
Right.
I don't need to make up a reason why it's helping.
Right.
It's just helping.
So then, because my own personal medical experiences I had with the X-rays and the MRIs showed was 5 bulging discs in my upper cervical spine. But now I haven't gone back to check it, but I do know that I have the atrophy in my arm is gone, and I can lift my arm and I can do things, and like I can ride a bike again. I can pull a pencil and my keys out of my front pocket, and I don't feel like I need to have surgery because of that. And that's what the neurosurgeons wanted to do, was have surgery. It's like, well, and this is like the best thing for you. And I guess the thing that stuck with me is that most patients have to go back anywhere between 18 and 60 months for another surgery. So I didn't want to keep doing that. But so I'm like, well, that's where I went to alternative means, and between physical therapy and just walking and change of diet and things like that.
So you did all those things, right?
I did all those things.
Now,
I don't know
and you
which
were getting
one
massage
is.
at the same time.
And I was getting massage,
Okay, so-
and I got acupuncture, and I did all the I tried everything.
It sounds like the most if I were looking, I'm not a doctor, I can't diagnose.
Correct.
But if I'm looking at it objectively,
Yes.
What do I think the greatest components of that is? Diet, exercise, physical therapy. Maybe you're stretching.
Yeah.
You had you were focused on how can I live a healthier lifestyle.
Right.
It wasn't one singular thing.
I agree.
It wasn't myofascial release cured all your issues. It was you took an interest. You researched whatever you could possibly do. Your body was healing at the same time, and you were giving it what it needed to possibly heal better.
Sure.
But it's not there's no one miracle cure to anything.
Yeah. I agree.
And in terms of the slip discs and stuff like that, I mean, what I would want to know, and something that any of you guys could look into, is what percentage of the population has slip discs anyways?
And
how many people actually have pain with it? How many people that do?
Right.
Is it possible that there's a population of America who has slip discs and have no pain?
Yes. Absolutely.
So maybe it just comes and goes.
Right.
Right? Is that a possibility?
That is a possibility. Absolutely.
And when we're talking about these surgeries, did you know that there are surgeries that are no more effective than placebo?
Yes.
Are those ethical?
I would say no.
Right? So we go, what if those surgeries for your slip discs are just no more effective than a sugar pill?
Right. Yeah.
And speaking of sugar pills and placebo, let's talk about a little bit of acupuncture.
Yeah.
Acupuncture is no more effective than sham, which is really no more effective than placebo. Okay, sham is this. I have these collapsible needles.
Yes.
And I stick them into your skin. But it's not really sticking in. It looks like it. And it just kind of sticks to the surface of your body.
Okay.
So it looks like we're penetrating your skin. Or we cover your arm up and we stick you with, toothpicks.
Okay.
Or we have like a part of the placebo being, we do stick you with needles, but we stick them randomly. We're not even looking at your meridians.
Okay.
Or I pinch you.
Right.
All right. So all of those things are equally...
Acupressure.
Yes. Which is, all of that is equally effective as like not doing any acupuncture at all.
Okay.
So it's, there's lots of amazing studies that you can read. And I love reading them, even though I always find the same results every time. I want to find that double-blind acupuncture study that actually says that it is a significant difference.
Well, and I think that's where it's going to be hard, because you can't, how do you measure the response of two different people? I mean, it'd have to be like on the same person with the same...
well, there is
modes,
methods,
right?
I mean, there's meta-analysis that allows people to test these things.
Sure.
And I can give you a link later to all the amazing, all that research.
Yeah, I'd love it.
And that really, I pull into the acupuncture thing, and I talk about the...
Sorry, acupuncturist.
Well, whatever it is, like my own profession, so many people says it can do all these crazy things,
right?
But it can't.
Right.
Did you know that there's massage therapists who say they can cure your infertility with a massage?
I'm sure there are.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
Some of them say that they can treat your cancer or your autoimmune diseases. That's ludicrous.
Right.
Like, that should be illegal.
Yeah.
You are selling literally venom to these people
Yeah.
instead of them going and seeing actual professionals who can help them treat their diseases.
So would you say, like, if they do go to these things and they do get those results, could that possibly be the placebo effect and have the desired result? It doesn't mean that they
Well, the placebo effect doesn't heal you. It's a perception of pain.
But the way I understand it is that, if I'm taking a sugar pill and I get cured of my disease, let's say it wasn't the sugar pill, but it helped me get there faster because I believed it was working?
No, I don't believe that. I've never seen anything that proves that that placebo has a mechanical effect on the body. Like if you have a tumor in your chest, no matter how much you believe that the tumor's going away, it's not going away.
Okay.
Now, let's look at, unless the body naturally just gets rid of it, right? But if it gets too big, it's not going to naturally get rid of it.
Right.
Or
maybe not. I don't know.
Well, it depends upon what the severity of it is.
Sure.
You know, I had a ridiculous tumor in my right lung. There's no way my body's going to break that apart.
Right.
And how do I know? Well, because it went into my lymphatic system.
Right.
You know, and it's growing so fast that it in of itself doesn't have the ability to keep up. So there's necrosis, in that area.
Sure.
So, the body is a phenomenal machine, but just because we believe it can cure us of our serious ailments doesn't mean it will. We need to have realistic expectations of what our force of will can do. I am, in my opinion, one of the greatest optimists I have ever met, but that doesn't cure me of my cancer. It doesn't alleviate my pain. It may minimize the amount of anxiety that I experience due to the horrific pain that I do feel.
Sure.
But it doesn't get rid of it.
Makes sense.
Now, we can go in some really cool... I can direct you in the way to talk to some amazing pain experts who will talk about, the source of pain and where it comes.
Right.
But
So
that's not
are
really...
you in pain right now?
Oh, yeah.
But you have it so well under control, or it seems like you're not in pain. I mean, we're sitting here. I see you smile. I see you. You're jovial, right? But you don't seem like someone who's in crazy amounts of pain.
Well, I'm not...
Maybe it's not crazy at the moment.
It's also a scale. Once you experience some ridiculous levels of pain, you get... You have a bigger, where someone may have a 10 scale, maybe I have a 100 scale.
Sure.
Maybe you have 1,000 scale, right?
True.
But it's a...
What's the threshold?
The pain becomes normal. You acclimate it into your life. It still shuts you down from being able to do a lot of the stuff that you want to do.
Yeah.
And then I have physiological things that prevent me from doing the stuff that I want to do.
Right.
But a lot of that's meditation. You say, well, Sean, you said something about mind over matter. I'm like, yeah, I did. But it has limitations. Making the most of your moments doesn't mean that you're curing yourself of your disease.
Sure.
You're being responsible with the disease.
For what you got.
You make the most, be happy, smile, spend time with amazing human beings.
Right.
And have a contribution to life. But don't have expectations that aren't reasonable.
Yeah.
So with like massage therapy, I consider myself in the category of science-based. I look at myself as a clinical massage therapist. I want to work with doctors, with people who, if their doctors want people to be massaged.
Sure.
But I'm not going to do anything more than palliative care. I'm reducing the anxiety surrounding your hardship. And when it comes to working with doctors and their patients, once they come to me, they're not my patients.
Right.
They're my clients.
Yeah.
I don't have that scope of practice to use the patient word.
Yeah.
And I can work with them to say, hey, while you're here for an hour or two, let's make this magnificent.
Yeah. How much more would you really need to learn to sit and pass medical boards?
Me?
You.
Well, I don't know, man. My goal is actually, to pass the, the MCAT. I'm going to be able to pass the entry requirements without ever going to school, but never actually become a doctor.
You don't want to become a doctor.
I would, but I can't afford it. So I don't see that happen.
Well, just because you can't afford it doesn't mean you couldn't do it.
If I could do it, I would go to school for it.
Yeah.
And I would love every moment of it.
Yeah.
That is my passion. I want to.
So by when will you sit for the MCAT, or when you put that on the calendar, dude?
Well, I got a ways to go, but I would love to. That would be amazing. To be a part of not only just be an advocate. I think it would be cool to be an educated participant.
Yeah.
In my cancer or some kind of health related field. That would be amazing.
See, I would argue that if you got that far, that people would give you the money because they want to see you win, and like that would be whether it be a GoFundMe campaign or any higher education. Here's your $1 tuition.
Sure.
Just come through. I mean, talking about being the spokesperson. It's like I'm going through all this. How about $1 for tuition for my pigskin, right? And I'm not. We're being funny, but we're not. I mean, I think that would be available to you because you have such a strong will and drive and I don't know, almost a pragmatic scientific approach to what you have and what you're dealing with. That's uncommon, and that's rare. So why not?
If the opportunity opened itself up, I wouldn't close the door and definitely go through.
I think I just opened up the door.
I love education. I love studying, and I spend as much of my time as I possibly can trying to learn and discovering ways to help people.
Speaking of which, so the reason I'm here at Medici so late is I go to Clayton for Landmark Worldwide, Landmark Education. Are you familiar with that company at all? So they're in the category of self-improvement and development. But the reason why I love it so much, it's a very Socratic approach to just kind of looking at our life and how our brain works and how we make up things and why we make them up. And, it's just like a common human condition. But I'd love to have you be my guest. I invite you to be my guest.
That'd be cool.
Whenever you can. I'm going tonight. It's very last minute, but you're more than
I'd
welcome.
come with you. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think that, and I don't know if we're talking to the same thing. I may be science-based, but I'm very creative. I'm introspective. Yeah. I love life and I love people.
Yeah.
And there is that
Clearly.
spiritual component.
Yeah.
We have to embrace our imagination in order to touch the things we cannot see.
Yes.
And your relationship with whatever entity or non-entity it may be, I think it's important to imagine, to explore, to see mythology, to let go. Like there's an exercise I do from time to time, typically outside and near water.
Yeah.
Say if I'm on Creve Coeur Lake and I'm near the water or I'm floating on a boat somewhere, lean back and I'll look up at the sun, not into it because I'm not a fool.
Right.
And you say, if I knew nothing about the world, what kind of story would I create to explain my environment?
Right.
So I look down at the sparkling water on the surface of the lake, and we say, what are those? Well, those are little fairy creatures, and they're dancing on the surface. But and the reason they don't get close to us is because they're shy. And as we near that light, we never actually touch the light where the fairy creatures are dancing because they're afraid of us.
Right.
And if they did, they would be ostracized from their fairy kingdom, and they would not be able to see their loved ones ever again.
And that's why we can't touch them.
And that's why we can't touch them.
Right. Oh, okay.
And because I don't know that the light came from the sun, because I don't have any science, it's creatures out there, magical creatures.
Right.
Perhaps the trees and across the landscape is the fur, the bristly beard of some father that is Earth, or mother's hairy legs. Who knows what it is, right?
Right.
But you take the time to imagine it, to see the world in a way that you ordinarily would never see it.
Yeah.
And no matter how much we touch science, it's important to touch that fantasy.
Yeah.
I think that personal advocacy is tied into that. In order for you to have that desire to touch the research that might make you want to throw up, you got to embrace creativity or imagination, because from that's where hope comes from. You must be able to imagine yourself in a place where you are not right now.
Right.
Whenever I was going through chemotherapy, I felt horrendous. I mean, the pain is unbelievable.
Absolutely.
I would throw up constantly in the shower while being intimate, driving down the road, walking down the street.
Anywhere.
And you just got to, that's what happens. You feel like, whenever I was going through, it felt like I had ropes of exhaustion grinding against my bones. that my muscles were filled with glue. And every time I walked, it felt like muscle was tearing from bone. I couldn't remember where I went to school. I lost memories of my childhood in my 20s and my 30s. I was with a woman, and there was a time when I forgot her name because of the chemo fog.
Wow.
My hands felt like they were on fire. Sometimes I touched stuff and I couldn't feel it because of the neuropathy. It was so great.
Sure.
In those moments, you have got to fantasize about something that is not this eternal horror. When pain that may only last, let's say in normal life, when you burn your hand.
Right.
That pain, it may only hurt for 5 minutes.
Right.
But every second is an eternity.
Sure.
When we are in agony, we have to find a way to cope with the horror that we're facing.
Right.
Imagination, creativity, imagining something other than where you are. What drove me forward was I created this imaginary trip. Now, at the time, I thought it was going to happen. It didn't happen. Money gets in the way. I said, I'm going to drive to San Diego, and I'm going to have this month-long journey from St. Louis to San Diego. Once I'm done with this crap with cancer, and I would plan and think about where I'm going to go. And I would talk to friends who've been to California. Where would you go? What kind of places would you be in?
Yeah, right.
It's just like when we sit and you talk about if I won the lottery.
Right.
What would I do?
Right.
We're not going to win the lottery. Most likely.
Statistically speaking.
Yeah, but it's fun to fantasize. It's fun to think, okay, if I had this, how would life be different? It would be so wonderful if this happened and that happened. You would take your best friend or your lover, your wife, your children. You'd go on these great, grand vacations and meet these fabulous people and be sitting on these beautiful beaches next to this cool blue water where you can see the fish from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
This is where hope is from. Hope is magic. Hope is fantasy. It's mythology. We have to hold on to it. No matter how scientific-oriented mind we may have, you got to have it. It is that fuel source. It helps move us forward. We use our critical thought to guide us, to create walls, to help us move down so we're not taken advantage of. So people don't turn our hope into false hope. Our personal advocacy is the key. I see in terms of the guidance of our life, how we move through our hardships. I believe it's through hope, wisdom, and forgiveness. I know I haven't really spoken much on the forgiveness component. And I'm not Christian, but I have very Christian ideologies. And when we talk about forgiveness, see, I know that you're a devout Christian, right?
Right. Roman Catholic.
And I tell you what, we probably believe the very same things. It's just our mythology is a little different. And what's that matter? I don't think God cares. As long as I'm trying to do good unto other people, I think He loves us equally.
Yeah.
He wants to see His flock have fantastic lives.
Sure.
So with this forgiveness component, if you want me to go deeper in.
Yeah, please.
So
let's check time. We got plenty of time.
Okay. Forgiveness is a personal relationship that we have. And it's all of us decide what it is. I think one of the biggest things that people who are resistant to the forgiveness component, be it whether or not they're talking to a Christian or myself.
Right.
And I bet you we have the same discussions, which is, we're like, well, I don't think they deserve forgiveness. And they're like, well, what do you mean by forgiveness?
Right.
Like, well, forgiveness is justice. Okay, but how does that impact you? Well, they need to be punished for what they did. Like, okay, at least we know what forgiveness is to you.
Right.
Because now we know that unless this person is punished for the transgressions they made, you will never be able to forgive them.
Right.
Because forgiveness equals justice to you.
Sure.
But does it? Is your justice that, or is it vengeance? Will you not be happy with yourself and at peace until you have delivered at least as much pain as they've delivered upon you? And that needs a little bit more introspection. That's not really forgiveness. That's not really peace. And what's going on in there?
Sure.
I can never know.
Right.
Only you can know. Only you know the battle inside of yourself. Once we define what forgiveness is, we can begin to find peace.
Well stated. I like it. Thank you, Sean White. I'm going to stop the recording now. But this is a cool philosophical and life discussion.
Yeah, so we started with some holistic medicine. We spoke about massage therapy. We threw in some myofascial release and some acupuncture, the placebo effect, perception of pain, the different kinds of pains we all experience. We talk about forgiveness and creativity, hope, force of will, tempering things with wisdom. And really, for me, I had the greatest pleasure of all because I was able to sit with this magnificent man and have a beautiful conversation that helped open my heart up even more. And I hope that I had an equal impression onto you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've had discussions before, and I love hearing you speak, and I'm glad you're speaking at the CCC. You should do more speaking.
I love speaking. When I was younger, I had incredible social anxiety.
Really?
I used to be so shy I would shake whenever I spoke to people.
Really?
But with force of will and always pushing that envelope, you can reach to heights that you never imagined were possible.
Sure.
And how I broke one of the, I reached a point where I was talking to everyone, and then I'm like, okay, Sean, there's still shyness in here. How do we shake that loose?
Yeah.
I said, let's do some amateur night stand-up comedy.
Oh, wow.
And I did that. And holy moly, was that incredible.
Yeah.
It was daunting, and at times I didn't do very well, but other times I made the entire audience laugh.
Wow.
And that was one of the really big milestones in my life.
Yeah.
Whenever I was able to put my own shoes on and say, this is me, and this is who I've always been. I'm tired of all this shyness crap. I'm ready to move forward in my life. And because of all of these accomplishments, and some of them, actually a lot of them aren't like, oh, I was triumphant. A lot of times you're walking along and you trip over your own feet.
Right.
Failure is important for success.
Yeah.
So nothing in my life would I ever take back. I wouldn't wish any of it away.
Right.
Because if I removed just one component, I wouldn't be as strong as I am here today. I wouldn't be talking to this magnificent human being. And I wouldn't have the privilege of having my voice be heard by all of you incredible human beings sitting wherever you are and listening to the delightful sound or melodious sound of my voice and the charming sound of his voice as well. So thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and I hope that I could have some kind of impact on you so that you can live the highest quality of life that you possibly can. Maybe it's just one little sliver of goodness that you can take away and smile from, and that's good enough for me.
Shaun White, thank you. Sean Brady with Shaun White. We may not see you in person, but thanks for being with us on social media.
It's a good interview.
Well, thank you. It's